I'm super excited to be here. And I'll tell you why I'm super excited. In my line of work, as an entrepreneur working in innovation and emerging technology, I find myself in boardrooms and business meetings where I'm one of the youngest. Similarly, I'm very passionate about social impact. I'm involved in and volunteer for numerous social initiatives. They're also in like policy rooms and forums that tackle societal challenges. There I'm also one of the youngest. So I'm super excited to be here because here I'm speaking to an audience which is obviously where majority of you are younger than me. So let's get right into it. What essentially, I want to talk about a change. So like what essentially is change? We have a notion and concept of change. Slides are, so essentially change can be defined in a lot of ways, right? In Urdu we say tabdili. There is a lot of variations of how we define tabdili. And in change also it's like a noun and a verb. It's a noun and a verb which can essentially mean transformation, alteration, and a different way of doing things. So I would sort of say that change, for me, change is defined to three core categories, right? One would be speed of adoption. Next slide. Second would be the fear of the new, and lastly the abundance. So these three are essentially the pillars that sort of, in my sort of understanding, define how we sort of have to perceive change. So starting with the speed of adoption. Next slide. What I mean by speed of adoption is the way or essentially how fast new ideas, new processes, new inventions can go to the farthest of places in the world. So for example, centuries ago when electricity was invented, it took a century or two to get to the farthest areas of Nigeria. Similarly, we later had the invention of telephones. Telephone took decades to reach to the farthest areas of Philippines. Then we had the advent of smartphones. It took years for smartphone to get global prevalence. And now, in this modern day and age, we saw a rise of an AI tool called ChatGPT, which got prevalence in a matter of days and months. It got 1 million users in like 5 days and 100 million users in just 2 months. So what essentially is we went from inventions which were taking centuries to reach to the farthest areas to then decades and then years, and now we are on to months and days. So this is a change that we need to leverage in our world. Then there is a fear of the new. Fear of the new, how I define fear of the new, is that in all times I believe there is something which our educators, our education institutions, parents have some fear around it. So today it's the fear of AI. You will have seen the news and the headlines where they say AI will take our jobs, AI will make students lazy, AI will make students unable to write or think for themselves, right? But this is not something new. We have always been fixated around one process, one technology, one app, that this is bad, this won't work. But in that process, we miss the entirety, the core of it. So right now, I agree that there are some nuances to it. We need to have safeguard, we need to make sure that AI is used ethically, and how we develop it is very important. We need to make sure the privacy and data privacy, these all are really important. But we need to essentially use it and adapt the use of technology. But this is not something new. Like 5-10 years back, it was video games. Still it is to some extent, where you will see like news and articles about AI video games will make students violent, etc. And if you go way other 2 decades back, it was TV. People were like, students, children are spending so much time on television that they are not focusing on their core academics. And if we go even further, like 5-7 decades back, you might even hear from your fathers and grandfathers that even reading novels was something that was not considered good. It was that you're wasting time in reading novels, you're wasting time in reading literature, you should be focusing on your academic textbooks. But now in this day to day, where we stand, literally every school, and I am assuming your school as well, will have programs where they sort of encourage, promote the art of literature and reading. So this is essentially, there will be fear around it, people will be fearing it, but we as the new generation, we need to make sure we are adapting to it, we are getting the most out of it, with obviously making sure that we ignore the bad sides of it and sort of safeguard ourselves from it. And lastly, it's about abundance. So abundance is essentially, if you look around you, there's abundance of everything. We have more choices. Like, start from a grocery store. We'll have so many choices. Even if you want to just eat chips, there'll be a variety of chips, variety of flavors. That wasn't the case before. And in our workplaces, you might find like we have a lot of career choices right now. A lot of you in like 5 to 10 years will be joining the workforce. You will see you'll have a lot of work choices compared to our previous generation. So these work choices gave us options, right? So Gen Z, as Gen Z, we have options. So then when we hear the news or any sort of article regarding Gen Z is lazy at workplace, Gen Z job hop very quickly, those are wrong, because it's not about that we are wrong or we something wrong with the Gen Zs or the new generation. It's about that the Gens, we have a lot of options. So if we get better working conditions, better flexible working hours, better opportunities for growth, you should be sort of switching your job. You should be going for the best opportunity and looking after yourself. So essentially, I talked about 3 core pillars with change. First, we started with the abundance, and then we talked about fear of the new and the speed of adoption. So these 3 core pillars have redefined our change in our society. Today, we can see the next slide. So we are now living in a new reality. When we see this new reality, we see, because we are living through the reality right now, we are not able to appreciate what we are going through. We are going through the best period in the history of the entire world to be alive. We are the sort of luckiest generation because we have the best opportunities right now. Like, let's just take 3 examples out of hundreds of many. One is travel. Right now, any of us can go and take a flight, and within a day we'll reach this other part of the globe, other side of the globe. Take information, for example. With the touch of a button, touch of your screen, you can simply get all the information regarding books, research, maps. Previously, people had to go to libraries, find scholars, and travel thousands of miles on foot or on ships to reach the scholars and acquire knowledge from them over a period of time. Now, and lastly, we have the communication. Communication has changed rapidly. You can see right now, anyone here in this audience can be live streaming this, and anyone anywhere around the world can see it right now. But previously, people used to write letters, which took weeks and months to reach other side of the globe or to the intended recipient. So this is essentially because we are going through this new reality, we don't appreciate the change that is there. And when we don't appreciate the change, we're not able to leverage the opportunities that are out there. So essentially, with the democratization of technology, with the ease of communication, with the leaps in communication, we are living in the best period we can ever find in the humanity. And we have a lot of opportunity, and what we need to do as Gen Z, and what we all need to do, is to leverage this opportunity. Not just for ourselves, for our families, for our community, but for those around us, especially those who are behind us. Because it's all about giving back to the community, giving back to your nation. I can share my example. As I sort of volunteer for Global Shapers Karachi, we initiated a project 2 months back where we identified one problem. Pakistan has always been going through some sort of economic challenges, which are essentially driven by youth unemployment. And with AI, it is expected that in the next 2-3 years, there will be a huge youth unemployment, especially for the entry-level roles when you guys will join the workplace. So how do we tackle that? How do we tackle it through the connections we have, through the resources we have, through the technology we have? We can tackle it. So what we decided to do is to promote entrepreneurship. Promote entrepreneurship in a way that we are powering 1,000 change makers. We are giving them the skills, we are giving them courses that they're able to better understand entrepreneurship concept, entrepreneurial thinking. These, we believe, our aim is that these change makers will go and empower 100 entrepreneurs, and each entrepreneur will create 10 new jobs. This way, 1,000 chain makers, 100 entrepreneurs each, and 10 jobs. Our vision is by 2028, we will be able to create 1 million jobs, which is a very tiny fraction in the scheme of things. We have like a huge population, 200 million, and a lot of people, like every year, around 1 million people are graduating from our universities. So we need, it's not just us, but all of you, each one of you, need to start an initiative around a problem that you can solve, a problem that you are passionate about. That could be around climate, that could be around education, that could be around health, and then you will be able to power the next sort of your future years. So essentially, I would say, in the end, we got a lot of opportunities, and we need to leverage these technologies and this new world to make this world a better place, a kinder place, and be grateful for the times we are living in. Because essentially, what is change? Change, we are the change, you are the change, Gen Z is the change. Thank you.